Okay, so when a company drops its earnings report, how can you be sure you're getting the whole picture? The truth is, there's often more than one story being told, and knowing the difference, well, that can change everything. So in this explainer, we're going to dive into these two parallel universes of financial reporting. You've got the official, by-the-book numbers, and then you've got the story that management wants you to hear. And look, for any serious analyst, for any investor, you absolutely have to know how to read both. All right, so on one side, you have GAAP. That stands for Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. Just think of it as the official rulebook. It's standardized, it's regulated, and every U.S. public company has to play by these rules. But then you've got non-GAAP. This is management's narrative. It's flexible, it's interpretive, and it's where they tweak the official numbers to tell what they think is a clearer story about their performance.
So the big question is, how do they even get from GAAP to non-GAAP? It's not like they're pulling numbers out of thin air. It's all about making specific, carefully chosen adjustments.
The whole point of non-GAAP earnings is to kind of normalize things. Management's argument is that the official GAAP numbers can have a lot of, let's call it, financial noise. Stuff that they feel distorts the real day-to-day health of the business. So they pull those items out to give you what they say is a cleaner look at their core operations.
And these adjustments usually fall into two big categories. First, you've got your non-recurring items. Think of these as one-offs, things that aren't part of the normal business, like a big charge for restructuring. Then you've got non-cash items. Now, these are real expenses according to GAAP, like depreciation or stock-based compensation. But the key is no actual cash left the building in that period. And this chart? It shows us exactly what companies are backing out. You can see that amortization of intangibles, that's basically writing down the value of things like brand names after an acquisition, is the biggest chunk, making up almost a third of all adjustments. Right behind that are restructuring costs and impairments. Put it all together, and these three really tell you a story about how much M&A and strategic change is happening out there. Okay, but here's where it gets tricky, because management gets to choose what to adjust. There's always that risk, right? A risk that they're just painting a prettier picture than reality, or even hiding some bad news. And believe me, no adjustment gets more heat than this next one. Yep, we're talking about stock-based compensation, or SBC. This thing has been a total battleground for years. The fundamental question is simple but huge. Is it okay to exclude this very real cost of paying your people from what you call your core earnings? And you can see why it's so debated. The arguments on both sides are pretty strong. On one hand, people say, hey, it's a non-cash expense, the math is complicated, let's pull it out to see what's really going on. But the other side fires back, whoa, hold on. This is a real, reoccurring cost of hiring and keeping top talent. If you didn't pay in stock, you'd have to pay in cash. They believe including it actually shows the company is mature and helps investors trust the numbers more. And listen, this isn't just some academic debate. This played out in the real world, in a big way. Back when Alphabet's CFO came out and said they were changing their policy, they were going to stop excluding stock-based comp from their non-GAAP numbers, calling it, and I quote, a real cost of running our business. For a company of that size to do that, wow, that sent a message. So with all this controversy and the very real danger that investors could be misled, you can bet the regulators were paying attention. After all those big accounting scandals back in the early 2000s, they knew they had to step in and set some rules of the road. And that's exactly what happened. In 2002, you get the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which was this huge deal designed to bring back trust in the markets. A piece of that law specifically told the SEC, hey, you guys need to make some rules for these custom pro forma numbers. And so, in 2003, we got Regulation G, which is basically the rulebook for non-GAAP that we still use today. So, what's in Regulation G? Rule number 1 is all about equal prominence. It's simple. You can't scream your non-GAAP number in a giant headline and then whisper the official GAAP number down in the footnotes. They have to be given equal weight. Rule number 2 is maybe the most important one for us as analysts. You have to show the reconciliation. That means companies have to show their math. They must provide a table that clearly walks you, step by step, from the official GAAP number to their custom non-GAAP one. No hiding the ball. And the third core rule is the big one that covers everything else. Don't be misleading. Simple as that. The non-GAAP number can't be based on a lie or leave out something important. This gives the SEC a lot of power to go after companies that get, let's just say, a little too creative with their adjustments.
Okay, so we have these rules. How do the pros use all this stuff in the real world, especially when the stakes are massive, like in a huge M&A deal? Well, they take this whole idea of adjusting numbers to the next level. They don't just look at the standard audit. I mean, an audit is backward looking, right? It just confirms the past numbers followed the rules. Instead, what they do is commission a quality of earnings report, a QOE. A QOE is totally different. It's strategic, it's forward-looking. Its whole job is to dig deep into the financials to figure out what a company's sustainable earnings power really is, which is what you need to know to value it properly. I love this analogy because it's perfect. Think of it this way. An audit is the rearview mirror. It just tells you where you've been. A quality of earnings report, that's you looking through the windshield. It's about figuring out if the engine is strong enough to get you where you want to go. So let's bring this all together. The key takeaway here is that non-GAAP isn't automatically good or bad. It's a tool, a powerful one for sure, that can give you real insights. But because it's up to management's discretion, you have to approach it with a healthy dose of skepticism. It never, ever replaces GAAP. And the number one rule for any analyst, always, always go find that reconciliation table. That's where the real story is. So the next time you see a non-GAAP number, you have to ask yourself, what story is management really trying to tell me here? Seriously, asking that one question is what separates a casual observer from a real analyst. When you dig into those adjustments, you're doing more than just crunching numbers. You're decoding strategy, you're figuring out intent, and you're finding the real story hiding behind the headlines. And just a quick final note, please remember, everything we've talked about here is for informational purposes only. This is not financial advice.